Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So this is 8th lecture of pattern program series. Okay, in this lecture we will see that how to write program for pyramid pattern. Okay, so before writing program for any star pattern, okay, you should first observe that pattern. Okay, so let us observe this pattern. So how many total number of rows that we need to print in this pattern? So we need to print total of 5 rows in this pattern, right? So we need to print total of 5 rows. So let us assume that this pattern is contained inside a 2D array, okay, where this is row number, this is column number, okay, and this is row number, okay, this is row number. So what are the different things that we need to print in this pattern? We need to print space and then star. Okay, first we need to print space and then we need to print star. Okay, if you will, if you are thinking that what is the significance of the space that is after the stars, so we don't need to bother about that. Okay, yeah. So first what we need to print? First we need to print space and then we need to print star. Okay. So we will first observe about the space. Okay, so let us see that how many spaces we need to print in the first. So if you will see in the first row, we need to print 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to print 4 space before our first star in the first row, right? We need to print 3 space before our first star in the second row. Okay, we need to print how many spaces? 2 space before our first star in the third row. We need to print 1 space, okay, before our first star in the fourth row. Okay, in the fifth row we need to print 0 space before our first star. Okay, so how we are getting this? Okay, how we will formulate this so that we can convert it into code. Okay, so if you will see how we will get 4. So if you will see, if we are subtracting from 5 is what? Total number of rows, minus row number. What is row number for first row? That is 1. So what is the difference? 4. So we need to print 4 space for the first row. I hope you understood it, right? So for the second row, what is the row number? Row number is 5. What is the total number of rows? That is 5. And what is the row number? That is 2. So what is the difference? 3. We need to print 3 space in the second row. Okay. For the third row, if you will see, what is the total number of rows? 5. What is the row number? That is 3. So what is the difference? 2. So how many spaces we need to print before first star in the third row? That is 2. Okay. In the fourth row, if you will see, what is the total number of rows? That is 5. And what is the row number? What is the row number? Row number is 4. Okay, so what is the difference? 1. So how many space we need to print before our first star? That is 1. Okay, so what is the row number for total number of rows is 5. What is the row number for fifth row? That is 5. What is the difference? 0. So we need to print 0 space before our first star in the fifth row. So you understood it, right? So what did we observe from this? What did we observe from this? What is the total number of rows? What is the number of space that we need to print before our first star? What is the number of space that we need to print before our first star? Okay, number of space that we need to print before our first star. So what is the formula? Formula is total rows minus row number, right? I hope you understood it. Okay. Okay, so we are done with the spaces that we need to print before our first star. Now let us see the star portion. Okay. Okay. So how many spaces we need to print in the first row? We need to print 1 star in the first row. How many spaces we need to print in the second row? We need to print 3 star in the second row. How many spaces we need to print in the third row? That is 5 star. How many spaces we need to print in the fourth row? That is 7 star. Okay, and in the fifth row it is 9 star, right? So now if you will see, these are all odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so how we can get odd numbers? Okay, so if we multiply 2 with anything and we subtract 1, we will get odd number. Okay, there is another way. If we multiply 2 with any number and we add 1 to it, we will get odd number, right? So how we will get here 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So if you will see, if we are multiplying 2 with the row number and we are subtracting -1, okay, then we are getting the number of stars that we need to print. So let us see. For the first row, if you will see, if you are multiplying 2 with the row number, that is 1 in our case, okay, in the first row. So what is the difference? And we are subtracting 1 as well. So what is the difference? The difference is 1. So we need to print 1 star. In the second row, if you will see, 2 multiplied by row number. What is the row number for the second row? That is 2 minus 1. What is the difference? 3. We need to print 3 star for the second row. Okay. For the third row, 2 multiplied by 3, right? For the third row, row number is 3 and -1. What is the difference? 5. So we need to print 5 star for the third row. For the fourth row, what will happen? 2 multiplied by 4, row number is 4 minus 1, what's the difference? 7. So we need to print 7 star for the 4th row. For the 5th row, 2 multiplied by 5 minus 1, what is the difference? Difference is 9. So we need to print 9 stars in the 5th row. Okay. So I hope you understood it, right? So what is the logic for formula for keeping track of the number of stars that we need to print? So number of star that we need to print will be equal to what? 2 into row underscore number minus 1. Okay, these many number of stars we need to print. If you are finding that my speed is a little bit faster, okay, then you can comment down your problem, okay, so that I will keep track of this thing in from the next video onwards. Okay, yeah. So let us, I hope you understood these things. Okay, these are the 3 observations that are from this pattern. Okay, now we will convert it into pseudocode, and then we will write the code in Sublime Text. Okay, so let us see this. Okay, so this is for loop, this is also for loop. Okay, so if you will see this for loop, okay, the first for loop, the loop variable is I, and I have already written that the I will keep track of row number. Okay, and this j and k will keep track of the column numbers. Okay, so first for loop will do what? First for loop will do what? First for loop will keep track of the row number. Okay, first for loop will keep track of the row number. Okay, so this loop will keep track of the row number. Okay, so how many times this loop will execute? It is starting from I equal to 1. It will go up to less than equal to rows. What is rows in our case? Rows is 5. Okay, total number of rows is 5 in our case. Okay, so how many times this loop will execute? 5 times. Okay, so since we need to print 5 rows, okay, so this loop should execute exactly 5 number of times. Okay, inside this loop there is another for loop. What this for loop is doing? This for loop is responsible for printing the spaces that we need before our first star. Okay, so how many times this for loop will execute? If you will see, this for loop is starting from this for loop, second for loop. Okay, I am talking about the second for loop. Okay, the second for loop is starting from j equal to 1. Okay, for the first row, if you will see, for the first row, what will be the value of I? I will be 1, right? For the first row, the value of I will be 1. Okay, this is second loop. Okay, don't confuse with it. So this is second loop. So for the first row, what will be the value of I? I will be 1, right? And this second for loop will start from j equal to 1, and it will go up to what? J less than equal to, if you will see, rows minus I. Okay, rows minus I. So what is rows? Rows is 5 in our case, minus I is 1 for the first row. Okay, so how many times this for loop will execute for the first row? This for loop will execute for the first row. This for loop will execute 4 times for the first row. So that means it is going to print 4 spaces, right? It is going to print 4 spaces for the first row. So that is what we needed in this case, right? For the first row, how many spaces we needed before our first star? 4 spaces, right? So that is what it is doing. So it will print 4 spaces before our first star in the first row. Okay, what this for loop is doing? This for loop is responsible for printing star. Okay, so how many times this for loop will execute for the first row? Okay, for the first row, what is the value of I? It is 1, right? So how many times this for loop will execute? It will start from k equal to 1. Okay, it will start from k equal to 1. It is running up to less than equal to 2 into I is what? Row number. For the first row, how it will be? It will be 1 and minus 1. So 2 into 1 minus 1, that is 1, right? Its value will be 1. So how many times it is starting from 1, and the condition checking is happening less than equal to 1. So it will execute how many times? Exactly 1 number of times. So 1 star is going to be printed for the first row. Okay, and after that what will happen? This printf will get executed and line will get changed. Okay, I hope you understood. I have showed you for the first iteration. You should solve it for the second, third, fourth iteration, so that you will understand it in a much better way. Okay, and I hope that you are aware of the execution of for loop. Okay, so now you understood the code and the explanation. Okay, now let us see the practical implementation in Sublime Text. Okay, just a minute, I need to change the video to Sublime Text. Okay, yeah, it's changed. So let us execute this code. I have already written this code. Okay, so this for loop, this first for loop, okay, this for loop is responsible for what? is responsible for printing the row number, okay, and I mean keeping track of the row number, and this for loop is responsible for printing the spaces, okay, and this for loop is responsible for printing the stars, okay, and after that this line is responsible for changing the line, okay. This code logic will work in any language, okay, so don't worry that this is not C or Java, okay. You need to just understand these portions, okay. Other than that, it is just taking input and printing output, okay. Now let us execute this code. So I executed it, it got compiled, control B, let us give it as 5, okay. So we got the output, okay. I hope you understood it, okay. So here if you will see, I have given one extra space, okay, for giving space in between. I have given one extra space, and then I have also given space after this star, okay. If I am removing this star also, and if I am removing this star also, and then if I am compiling it, okay, and running it, we are getting no space between the stars. So if you want space between the stars, you just give a space here and then give a space here and execute it, okay. You will get the stars in between the stars as well, okay. Sorry, you will get the space in between the stars as well, okay. So if you like the video, please make sure to subscribe it, okay, share it with your friends and like the video, okay. Thank you for watching.